Now, it is my pleasure to introduce this morning's presenter, Jen Hamilton, as a progressive and compelling leader in the fitness industry for over 20 years. Jen's dynamic and vibrant personality continues to be the driving force behind Oxygen Yoga and Fitness's culture, strength, and unprecedented growth. Jen embodies the company mantra, "I love my life." Let's give a warm Canfit Pro welcome to Jen.
Why, thank you, Santiago, and thank you, Canfit Pro, and welcome everybody. Good morning. I am super honored to be here presenting this story, my journey. I have to be totally transparent. So when I was putting together this presentation, I was being so clinical and I had it scripted and I had all of this information that I wanted to share with you that felt super unauthentic because it was so scripted. So I chose to do something a little different. I am going to have these slides. I'm going to speak from my heart. I'm going to tell you my ups, my downs, my successes, my failures, and hopefully some of my insight and my story will give you the confidence and the inspiration that you're going to need to move from instructor to entrepreneur. So in saying that, as an instructor, you've already proven that you are a leader, that you are an entrepreneur. You've gone those measures. You've gotten the education that you need to have in order to facilitate classes. So celebrate that. That is amazing. And I feel that what happens is, as an instructor, we fall into this category that we don't see future opportunities. But as an instructor, think about this. You enter into your class, you instruct your class, you lead these people, you guide these people through your physical practice with your efforts and your inspiration behind what you are doing. You inspire people. And those are characteristics of an entrepreneur. So you need to recognize and celebrate the successes of being an instructor. And this is your first step into becoming an entrepreneur. I like to use the analogy. If you can visualize it and you can see it, you're already getting there. You're already on your path to finding yourself and your next steps for entrepreneurship. So this is me. I'm Jen Hamilton. I'm the CEO of Oxygen Yoga and Fitness. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to start and tell you about my journey, where I started. So back in 2003, I had Morgan and Keenan, which were my twins. I also have an older son, Braden, and my children were 22 months apart. I always had a passion for fitness and I really wanted to put it to work. Being a mother of 3 under 3, I had this idea. I wanted to create a business that kept me accountable, that kept me aligned with my fitness goals and my needs. I was working for the school district at this time, and I happened to be on a lunch break. And one of my colleagues, Karen, she was a fitness instructor. We had lunch, we were talking, and I said, I have an idea. I have this idea. I want to start a boot camp program. She thought it was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant. We compiled ideas. We talked back and forth during lunch. Then we went our separate ways. At the end of that day, she arrived at the classroom that I was working at. She had this long list of all of these different ideas. Ironically enough, I had created a list for myself as well. This is where my journey began to entrepreneurship. We then decided we were going to go meet at Starbucks and discuss our thoughts and our dreams and our excitement behind this venture that we just discussed at lunchtime. So for myself, cardio, fitness was very, very important. Karen was more focused on the core and the importance of the core. Therefore, we came up with a name very quickly called Cardio Core Bootcamp. This was in 2003, we started this venture, and it was very simple. We wanted to go and use parks, use playgrounds, use the dikes, use the outside, the environment to create a really amazing workout for people. And this is where I feel that I shine as a person, as an entrepreneur, is allowing your ideas to be creative. So, one thing that I did learn throughout the whole process of anything in the fitness industry, and I'm sure we can all relate to this, in the fitness industry, things have a 7-year shelf life. So think about it, like Taibo, kickboxing, HIT, uh, step classes, they all had a shelf life. So by tying the name boot camp to my cardio core actually created a limitation for me. Of course, at this time I didn't know it, but it did transpire. So I'm just putting that out there just to make yourself aware of the limitations that the fitness industry can have on you. But I will speak further on how you can embody and create a bigger opportunity for yourself in this industry later on throughout my presentation. So going back to Cardio Core, so we started with one location, and truly, my members were my biggest customers. So we had, I believe it was about 126 members at one time. And during this process, I would have members coming to me saying, I want to do this. I'd like to have a business started, you know, like with Cardio Core. This is so much fun. I could see myself doing this. Therefore, this is what led me into franchising. I truly had no idea what I was doing. I was just going from the passion that I had for the business, the opportunities that I saw with members, the excitement that I got from people as they came to our classes. So this is where my learning curve started. First off, obviously, I had to find out, what are franchising laws? Who do I go to? I then approached a lawyer, and he actually helped guide me in step by step by step. So Tony was integral on the development and the infrastructure of Cardio Core Bootcamp, and it was very, very exciting. And as I said, we grew very quickly. I grew that business to 59 locations. But what we saw is, and this happens within the fitness industry, is there's a lot of excitement, then it plateaus, and then it starts to fall. So at the time, it was 2009 when I actually sold Cardio Core. And I was just seeing it going on a decline. And it was at that time I chose to sell. All right. So then I decided I'm going to go back to the school, and I'm going to start working back in the school district. So I did just that. Although I truly missed the whole energy, the enthusiasm, the challenges, and the excitement that I got from owning and operating my own fitness business. Ironically enough, I'm grocery shopping one day and I run into two former members of mine from Cardio Core, Chuck and Sandy. So Chuck and Sandy into the grocery store, they're saying to me, Jen, we're missing our programs, we're missing training with you. And it was this time I was like, hold on, you know what? I might have a solution for this. I have a detached garage that I could convert into a training facility. So I went home, I checked out my garage, I pulled out all my old equipment, and I set myself up with a little training facility in my detached garage. So I then called Chuck and Sandy and said, hey guys, guess what? I've converted my garage and you can come join me now for some classes. Well, the two of them told two other people, which told two other people. And next thing you know, I've got 16 people training in my garage, but I was having to offset and be very creative how I could train 16 people at once when my garage could only hold 8. Therefore, I came up with an idea, and this is all part of being an entrepreneur, is being creative and always having ideas and solutions to things. So came up with an idea that, well, I'll train and do the static strength component training in the garage. Then I'm going to bring all of the people together to do our cardio component outside. And then the first initial 8 people will leave, and then the other 8 people will come in and we'll finish off that way. It was going amazing. Then all of a sudden one day, knock, knock, knock on my door. Well, it's a bylaw officer. And bylaw officer says to me, I hear you have a fitness business operating here in your garage. And I said, yes, I do. I said, come on, let me show you. With, quite a lot of excitement, I bring this bylaw officer, and I showed this bylaw officer my detached garage, which I call my Train for You training facility. And she said, well, Jen, I think this is marvelous, and I see your excitement, your enthusiasm, but unfortunately, you can't do this. You don't have the parking to accommodate it. So therefore, fast forward, I had to obviously come up with another solution. This comes down to the ability to network and really understand how you can best utilize places and other environments to create a workout space. I therefore used my network of gymnastics facilities. I was a gymnast growing up. Therefore, I decided to contact a local gymnastics club. And knowing that they weren't using their facilities during this time, this gave the gym club a chance to create additional revenue, gave me a chance to create a space for all of these members to come and utilize all of the equipment, which I was super familiar with. So this was amazing. Okay. I was training. I had 90 people training with me in the morning. I did different sets. I had to onboard other instructors to come and help me. And then I was introduced to Oxygen Yoga. So Oxygen Yoga was just a yoga facility at the time. I was asked to come and do a boot camp session at this yoga facility. They were obviously seeing that maybe they needed to draw a different clientele into their business. And honestly, they really did. So I came in, I did a boot camp class, but then I also started doing yoga classes, which opened up my eyes and my doors to something that I really was unaware of and really hadn't tapped into. But when I did, I saw the beautiful opportunity of combining both the yoga and the fitness. So a month later, I was presented an opportunity. These previous owners wanted to sell. They gave me a chance to come in and purchase Oxygen Yoga. At that point, I saw the opportunity of combining the yoga and fitness, fusing the two ideas together. And back in 2012, that's when Oxygen Yoga and Fitness was developed. I can't tell you how exciting it was when I got to take over this studio. Ironically enough, it's funny because the people who knew that I took over this business, the first question that was asked me, are you going to franchise this? I said, absolutely not. I'm not going to franchise this. I just want to have this my baby, my own community. And I really just want to just really work on having just one singular location. Well, 4 months pass, I'm instructing a class, and I'm walking through as people were lying there in Shavasana, and somebody's lying there on their mat and says, I want one. I stopped. I said, you want one? I said, you want one what? I want a location. It was then I kind of got that little bit of a taste in my mouth that it wasn't about creating a business opportunity. It was about sharing. So that came from a very authentic place on, I wanted to share this. I wanted to share the fact that I had people coming an hour and a half to join us for classes. They were so excited. We were the only infrared studio, therefore offering such a different service. And then giving somebody else the opportunity to be an owner and create a place that they have a business opportunity to employ people, to create a safe space for people to come and just channel their energy in a positive way. So I'm super excited to say at this time today, we are 97 locations strong across Canada. We've got our first location opening up in Calabasas, California, and that is actually happening on the 28th of this month. It has been an amazing journey. There has been so many ups and downs, and I'm going to share that with you throughout this presentation because nothing comes easy. Work is work and your passion is your passion. But when you can always bring yourself back to your why and really allow yourself to be authentic and honest and create a solid plan, you can make it happen. So I welcome right now any questions that anybody might have before we actually get a little deeper into the process here.
Right. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. But for now, while people put their questions, can you tell us, Jen, a bit about your journey? Like how exciting has it been? How challenging it's been? Because obviously, even starting in a garage, it comes with the challenges. And I'm sure you had moments where like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Or,
oh my gosh.
right? So many challenges because it's not easy. So tell us about that.
Well, I've had so many challenges, so many successes, but I mean, obviously the challenges of being in the fitness industry and always making sure that you're on trend, that you're serving your customers, that they're happy. The key to success within the fitness industry is engagement and creating community. And that is the one thing that we thrive on, is creating community, creating a place for people to come and just really, address themselves, be able to give themselves a break in a healthy, happy manner. Some of the challenges that I've faced were obviously partnerships, onboarding franchisees who weren't necessarily aligned with my core values. And that is hard. I can't put my energy into somebody else. I can share my energy. I can share a platform. I can create policies, procedures, and timelines that need to be followed. But there's an accountability piece that has been difficult. And in saying that, we've had to come up with many different systems on creating and rewarding the successes of franchisees, of people being accountable. That also includes the members. So, I mean, we do many different things like challenges to keep that engagement, to keep that excitement. So throughout the year, we do a number of different 21-day challenges, because we all know 21 days it takes to change your behavior, create a different lifestyle for yourself. And we've come up with many different creative ways to work within this industry. I mean, challenges, let's just talk about COVID. I mean, we've opened and closed 4 to 6 times, depending on which province you were. So having the ability to pull everybody together, to pivot, I don't like using that word because it's overused, but truly create other ways of engagement was a challenge. Although if you're going to succeed, you need to be open-minded and adaptable and really willing to change and look at what the needs of whomever it is that you're serving to serve. So we created an online platform. We also did a subscription box, which was something totally out of our wheelhouse. But what it did is it created that engagement, and it created an opportunity for people to come in and become aware of what Oxygen Yoga and Fitness was all about. So, I mean, those are just some. I mean, if you want me to go into more depth, we've got challenges, obviously, with instructors, keeping formats and ensuring that there's consistency within the brand and not having people go rogue, because that happens. So it's just obviously rewarding and recognizing the successes of people, being accountable, creating that consistency, and creating that team spirit where you're really welcoming other people's ideas and distributing that information in a really fair political manner.
Well, thank you for that. We have a question from Lindsay. She says, how would you recommend to build your business? So website, social media?
Well, first and foremost, I think you need to understand what is your business, who's the demographic that you're going to be serving, understand where you're going to position your business. Location is huge. And really identifying your why you're doing it, who you're serving, what you're serving, and creating a timeline that's measurable for yourself is essential. Obviously, the website is very important, and there's so many different details that go along with websites now. We got apps, we have everything. You've got to look at what society is needing right now and what is most convenient. You need to create something that's convenient for people, that is going to be accessible, as well as it's something that is going to be desired. You need to have the ability to change when change is needed and carry on when things are working well. So I think the ability to go back and reflect is a huge opportunity for you to develop a successful plan to grow your business. Did that answer any questions, Lindsay?
I hope so. Oh, yes, says yes, thank you. Awesome. And one last question, but you kind of touched base on that. Is Kelly says, how do you survive COVID and did you move online?
Honestly, there were a couple times during COVID that I didn't know what the outcome of our business was going to be, as well as many other people within this industry and many other industries. I think the perseverance and the ability to come together and, as I said, create another model that was usable and that was functional for people was what actually helped us get through COVID. So the online platform was essential at that time. We've now actually kind of scaled back because our intention is obviously having people through the doors in our studios. That is our business, not the online. So I think just having the ability to be creative, to not focus on what's not working rather than what can work. Learn from your peers. Look at other successful businesses, and you can emulate that and put your own compassion and passion into that business and make it your own. But I mean, there's many different organizations that did succeed, that persevered and made it through COVID. But I think we all kind of learned off each other what was working, what was not working. Our key thing too was just really utilizing social media and allowing ourselves just to even have communication with people, and being able to be frequent with that communication was really important. Another thing that I have to say is with our franchisees during this time, it was scary. It was very scary for them. During COVID, we actually onboarded 2 additional employees during this time, even though we couldn't afford it. But we needed, as a corporation, as a business, to provide these support services for our franchisees, to give them that strength and the compassion that they needed during this time of uncertainty.
That's great. We have another question. It's like a long question, I think, because you can talk about it a lot. I don't know if you want to talk about it right now or wait until the Q&A. It's about the financial aspect of it. So it says,
okay,
how did you approach the financing aspect? Do you recommend getting investors and sponsors?
well, I will touch on that, but we will talk about that later on during the presentation. I mean, you can bootstrap. I did. When I started the business, I used my own investment and didn't go to a financial institution. So one of two things. Although with our franchise opportunities now, we've created relationships with many different financial institutions to provide that support. Prior to COVID, there was a 90 to 10% ratio on loans That obviously has changed dramatically since COVID. So now it's more of a 70 to 30, meaning you need to have 70% and they will loan you 30% of the monies. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. So you need to have 30% of the capital, and they will provide 70% of the financing. Although this is only for assets. So in this industry now, because it has been a little volatile, they've changed their structure on their loaning and their debt ratio loans as well. But we can talk about that further.
Perfect. That's amazing. I think we can keep going. There's no more questions, so we can go.
Perfect. Okay. And my screen is delayed, but the next screen is going to say entrepreneur. Okay, as an entrepreneur, here we go. And I apologize for IT technical difficulties because this happens all the time. And this is where we just need to be solution-based. So entrepreneur, congratulations. I just want to say you're here right now because you are an entrepreneur. You're curious, you're invested in yourself. You want to take those next steps to building a business, an opportunity for yourself. So celebrate that. And that's an amazing thing because it's scary, it's daunting. But as an entrepreneur, you need to look at, who are you? Are you a builder? Are you an optimist? Are you an innovator? Or are you a specialist? Myself, I'm an innovator. I'm an idea person. I want to put my ideas to fruition. And I think you need to really, really identify who you are as an entrepreneur, because all of these categories pose very different positions in your role in a business. So as an innovator, applying your ideas, putting those ideas to fruition is who I am. It's who I've become. I've learned to put my passion to work and have that work for me. But I'm also a specialist. So what I've done is I've used those ideas and I've aligned myself and networked with people like CanFit Pro to allow myself and this business to grow so we can touch many different people. So identify who you are as an entrepreneur, and that will help you establish your business plan. Okay, so what makes an entrepreneur? There are many different qualities that make an entrepreneur. For me, these are ones that really resonate with myself. Okay, being versatile. You have to be versatile as an entrepreneur. Things are not always going to go your way. Trust me, as much as you want to, they are not going to always go your way. So you need to be able to sit back, listen, and understand what it's going to take in order for you to get that outcome that you're looking for. Flexible. You need to be flexible. As humans, we all need to be flexible. And I mean, just stemming back to COVID, during the last 2 years, I think we all developed this skill set on being flexible and really understanding sometimes things are beyond our control, and looking at how to be flexible and how to use your skill set in order to get you to that next place. Money saver. Okay, so you always need to have a kitty in the bank. You know, I would like to encourage anybody who's going to go into business to have a 6-month nest egg in order for you to have that security. 6 months is a really, really good, strong number to be able to provide that sense of security. Although, if I could, just talk about COVID, maybe 6 months wouldn't have been. But generally speaking, and our trajectory is on the upward in this industry. I feel January, we're going to hit huge numbers because people have all gained the confidence. But money saver, you always have to be accountable and understand what's in the bank, what's going out, what's coming in, and really learning to balance those books. Resilient. Okay, you're going to get struck down, you're going to get lifted up, and resilience is the key to just being really open to growing, to understanding, and and understanding when somebody tells you an idea isn't great, it's not a bad thing. It's something that you can take back to the table and learn, maybe how do I approach this in a different way? How can I be resilient so I can make this make sense to other people? Because often, and trust me, I'm guilty for this all the time, it makes sense in my head, but sometimes when I deliver a message to my team, it doesn't make sense to them. So they have knocked me down a couple times, and resilience is key to keep that smile on your face and understand your idea is not always the best idea. Focused. We always need to be focused. You know, it's really easy to go down a slippery slope and be woe is me and want to give up. But if you give up and you can't stay focused, you're not an entrepreneur. You have to understand that there's going to be the good times and the bad times. Celebrate those good times and try to focus on that celebration to keep you focused. Business smart. Well, I think all of these things as an entrepreneur pretty much summarizes being business smart. Being business smart encompasses all of this. And communicator. Well, communication is key. You need to be able to communicate. Communication is also listening. You need to listen and be able to deliver your messages effectively. Because sometimes, even when we're upset or we're frustrated, we need to take a step back, be patient, and understand you have one chance to communicate things. And that one chance, if it's communicated wrong, might be misperceived, you know, from there on. So think of a first impression as a lasting impression. So when you're communicating, be really, really conscientious on how you're doing it, who you're communicating to, and why you're delivering the message that you are. Next. Questions to ask yourself. Okay, so there's a number of questions you ask yourself. Do I have the personality, temperament, and mindset to own my own business? Well, that's a really good question to ask yourself. Do I have the required ambiance and resources to devote all of my time to this venture? Another really good question to ask yourself. Do I have an exit plan if I need one? Okay, as an entrepreneur, this kind of is a little contradictory because as an entrepreneur, you want to see the end goal. You want to see the end results. You want to get to the finish line. But if things aren't working, you need to be creative and think of what your exit plan is. Do I have a concrete plan and a timeline in order to achieve my goals? A lot of people go into business and they don't create a timeline. They don't create a plan that is reasonable, that is manageable, and that is going to be fulfilled. So really understand that you need to create a plan that is going to be measurable and attainable. And do I have strategies to deal with other people who might not necessarily align with my thoughts? So those are questions that I want you to jot down, that I want you to ask yourself, because going into a venture, going into a new business is daunting. And there's the ups and downs and there's the unforeseen, but you really need to establish a solid timeline, and it needs to be focused on you. Do a SWOT analogy on yourself. Identify your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Do that, and that will give you a really clear perspective on where you're at and where you're going to go. The journey begins. Okay, where love and fear collide. And this is the nemesis of business. This is the nemesis of people going into an entrepreneurial role. You start off with the love of something. And on the opposing side of that, the fear. What is the fear? The fear is failure. But I want you to understand that fear and failure is actually a beautiful thing. Because when you fail, if you choose to fail and learn from it, you're succeeding, you're growing. So each and every failure is an opportunity for you to learn. I like to use this analogy. Okay, you can be right here in the slow lane, and then you can go in the fast lane, you can pass, choose your lane. And you know what? At different times and different stages of your business, you're gonna be in the fast lane or the slow lane. So really make sure you're aware of where you are and when you need to be there. Rejection. Well, I mean, that's a terrible feeling, hey? Nobody likes to be rejected, but you are going to be rejected, and you just need to take it as an opportunity to listen to something a different way. Rejection is a great thing because it gives you a chance to identify, just because you thought that that was okay or that was the right way to do something, it gives you a chance to revisit and look at different ways to create those stepping stones to success. So don't look at rejection as a negative, look at it as a positive. Ask somebody, why didn't you like that idea? What would you do differently? How would I do a better job at delivering that message? Or what do you see would work better? So asking those questions, being vulnerable is really important. Well, if you don't try, you can't win. And that's the whole thing. I like to use the whole analogy that, there's people who dip their toes in the swimming pool, and then there's people who just jump right in and do a cannonball. Okay, as an entrepreneur, you are a cannonballer. You should be jumping into that pool. And you know what? Sometimes that good old saying, you're going to sink or swim. Well, often we're going to swim because we don't want to sink. But a lot of the times people are afraid to try things because they don't think that they're going to win. But you know what? If you don't try, you're never going to get to that next level. So don't discredit yourself and really honor the fact that if you thought it, you just need to map out the way to get to that win, because you'll get there. So setting realistic goals. And that is the key to any successful business model. You have to be realistic. You have to set goals that are measurable, goals that are attainable. You also have to reflect and look at your goals. You have to identify what's working and what's not working. Every day, I create a to-do list for myself. I love it because I map out my day, and guess what? Every time I get to cross something off, I reward my successes. I am setting realistic goals. That's on a daily basis. Obviously, as in a business, you need to set goals where it's in a 1 month, 3 month, 1 year, 2 year, and you need to have those projections so you have something to foresee and something to look forward to see if you are obtaining your goals. Teamwork. Well, let's be honest. I mean, we all started off as an entrepreneur. You were the I. You were the one who started off. But teamwork is everything. There is no I in team. Although, allow your ideas, allow your thoughts to go into an organization, into a place where you can bring other people on who are smarter than you, who are experts in their field to help you accelerate. So having a team is essential in order for growth and development of a business. And a key to keeping your team together is acknowledging that, rewarding their successes, bringing them in, collaborating with your team is going to give you the ability for growth and development. I also like with my team, there are many, we have our huddles every single week. We get together, we discuss what's working, what's not working. I am a very solution-based person, so I'm always looking at what solutions we can solve throughout the week. Another thing to focus on, though, is you've got your workplace, but creating opportunities to learn your team outside of the workplace is essential. To understand who they are, their families, their friends, what makes them tick, and do things also outside of the workplace is very, very important to keep and build a healthy and happy team. Become an effective leader. Well, lead by example. It's really simple. If you're a leader, you need to demonstrate the skills, the qualities, the deliverables, everything that you want as a leader for your team. You have to demonstrate those skills. You have to be open. You have to be understanding. You have to set goals. You have to communicate. You have to bring everybody together and collaborate ideas and really, really focus on. A leader is somebody who is going to demonstrate and show and showcase what is important within their organization. So being an effective leader comes along with just being there, being available, and being present. And leadership skills, I mean, sometimes they do get tough because you feel like you're that cheerleader that always has to keep the team going. But sometimes taking a step back and being an effective leader is admitting vulnerability and asking for help. Being a leader asking for help is essential to demonstrating those effective skills. Dealing with difficult people in business. Well. I mean, as I said, I'm a very positive person. I don't want to think that we deal with difficult people, but it's a reality. I mean, you're going to be dealing with difficult people. And the thing is being patient and being understanding. You don't know maybe what transpired with that person's day 5 minutes before you had a conversation with them. So I think being really empathetic and understanding, learning how to paraphrase when people are maybe opposing a conversation or being combative with you in a conversation is understanding how to paraphrase and allowing them to hear what they're saying. Because sometimes when you're dealing with difficult people, they don't even hear what they're saying. But by allowing yourself to have this conversation, this dialogue, so what you're saying is XYZ, it allows them to reflect and maybe understand that the message that they were delivering wasn't their intention. So when you're dealing with difficult people, really understanding this resilience, being patient, and really, really being kind to yourself and others is the key to effective communication. Stress. Well, stress is a really wonderful thing because stress is the fuel that you can use to propel yourself to that next stage. When we're stressed, sometimes we can go fight or flight, okay? When you're stressed, learn to fight. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but learn to fight for what you want that outcome to be. When you're stressed, use that energy because that stress energy is so powerful that you can transfer that into something really beautiful and very positive. So when you're stressed, take a step back, write down why you're stressed. But you know what? To everything you write down, there's an opposite, there's a positive, there's an outcome. So take the time when you're stressed to embrace it, embody it, because it will give you the strength and that fuel you'll need to propel forward. Staying focused. Okay, we talked about this. You always need to stay focused. You know, often there are things that will distract us and deter us, but staying focused is essential. And that's within everything that you do. You know, it's not just business, being a parent, being a friend, being just committed to anything. You need to stay focused. You need to bring yourself back to that why. So when things get tough, when the going gets rough, I want you to revisit your why. When you initially started this business, what brought you to the table? What made you say, I'm going to do this? I'm an entrepreneur and I am prepared to do this. And staying focused and reminding yourself, you know, if you need a tool, you need to do meditation, whatever it is that you need to help guide you and remain focused, recognize that within yourself and honor it and bring yourself back to that place. Mistakes. Well, that's our next slide. It's just delayed. We'll talk about mistakes. We make mistakes all the time. And, you know, we're human. And making mistakes is everything that it takes to make something better. Okay. So when you make mistakes, it's okay. I think recognizing it, owning your mistake, especially to your team, especially to the people who are working with you, owning that mistake, honoring that it was a mistake is healthy. It's effective. It shows humility. It shows that you have the ability to grow and understand and learn from these mistakes. So making mistakes is not a negative thing, but really take the time to acknowledge it when you do, to your team, to the people who are close to you, because they will have the utmost respect for you when these mistakes happen. And along with the mistake, there could be a positive outcome. Dream big. Okay, so why not dream big? If you're going to dream small, you're never going to go anywhere. Dream big, and dreaming within the possibilities are endless is the key to just being successful. As an entrepreneur, you're going to dream big, because if you don't dream big, you're never going to grow. Although, don't dream big too fast. Set up goals, set up yourself that it's going to be measurable, that throw the big dream at the end of, at the end of the race. Allow yourself to never create a finish line. Allow yourself to continue to dream big, to continue your journey. Because if you get to the finish line, what happens then? Well, you cross the line. So I want you to always think about dreaming big and understanding that your dreams are your aspirations. Your dreams are your goals. Your dreams are what is going to create success within your business. It is going to be the smile on your face when you see all of those dreams coming to fruition, and then you get to dream bigger and bigger each and every time. In saying that, when you dream big, sometimes you need things to lift you up, and sometimes you need extra tools. And I wanted to share a couple of books that have really, really resonated with myself when I've hit different peaks in my life, different lows, different highs, and just opportunities that I needed to kind of sit back and revisit and learn that my dream still was a reality, that I still wanted to dream big. So Gabrielle Bernstein, The Universe Has Your Back, an amazing book. She talks about her journey. And you know what? I related in many different ways to her journey, to her ups and downs, and to being true to herself. And she talks a lot about vulnerability and being just that core person who is going to support yourself, love yourself, and really honor what is important to you. You always need to maintain that truth and that integrity within yourself if you are going to do anything and if you're going to do it well. Edgar, The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. I read this book when I was 17. I think at that time, I already knew I was an entrepreneur, but I just didn't really understand why. I was creative. I created my first business wasn't really a business, but my first revenue opportunity was when I was 11 years old, and I did lemonade stands. Okay, pretty simple. Richard Carlson, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. Okay, this is such a simple book. It's such a simple read, and it's just about anecdotes. And I think in life, we get so caught up in the big picture and what isn't working, and really don't sweat the small stuff. Like, this book of anecdotes is just, it's refreshing. And sometimes we just need to really understand, is the situation that I'm in, is that going to make or break me? And just really being true to yourself. And the Starbucks experience. This was a book that I thought was really healthy. And it's just the premise of business. Although, it's revolved around coffee, but it's about an experience. And us in this industry, we are in a PR business with a service model. Our service model is fitness. Our service model is yoga. Our service model is just that. So creating a positive experience for people when they are with you, whether you're instructing a class, whether you're owning your own studio, whether you're managing a facility, whatever that is, understand that you and your job is to create a positive experience. One, why? Because they're going to be happy. They're going to return. And two, they're going to tell other people about it. And that is going to allow you as a business owner, as an instructor, as whomever it may be within this industry, to have that returning customer and have that engagement that you really, really need, that made you come to the table initially. As instructors, we are passionate and compassionate people who want to share our energy with others. And just reminding yourself, your energy is a projection of yourself. Your energy is emulated through your practice. Your energy is what is going to allow these members, these customers, to come back and share that experience with you again. And now it's time for Q&A. Thank you. And I hope you guys got a lot out of that experience. And I apologize for myself fumbling maybe a couple of times, but you know what? It's a little nerving talking to my computer screen. I wish I could actually see all of your beautiful faces right now, but I'm grateful, and thank you so much for showing interest in this. And I have the utmost respect for each and every one of you for taking on, the courage on being an entrepreneur, because it's scary, but it's so rewarding. So celebrate that.
That's amazing, Jen. Thank you so much. And
Thank
Elodie
you.
says she loves the presentation. You are a great speaker, and I second that.
Oh,
That's amazing.
why, thank you.
There
Thank
you go.
you.
So if anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat box. You can come off mute. You can ask Jen any questions you need, want. What do you want to learn about Jen's journey, about oxygen yoga? Anybody has any questions? In the meantime, I want to ask you, what kind of advice can you give people who are maybe just started to think about starting their own business, or are just starting their own business? Like, what can they do to keep pushing, keep moving forward?
Well, first and foremost, they, as I said, they need to understand their why, who they're serving, and they really need to be honest with how much capital they have. Unfortunately, money talks, and money is what you need in order to start your business. So you need to be really cognizant on what those expenditures are. Create a budget sheet for yourself. Look at a pro forma. How many members will you need? What are your costs associated with that? And what are your profit and loss at the end of each month? What does that look like in 6 months time, in 1 year, in 2 years? And creating projections for yourself that are reasonable, and just really giving yourself an idea of what those costs are, because we can have a great idea, but if we're not having the income that comes in to support it, then your idea really is frivolous.
Amazing. Yeah. Susie says, as a business owner for 13 years, I have seen many changes for my business, especially people's mindset. How has the industry changed for you? What kind of business do you have, Susie?
I own a women's only fitness studio on
Amazing.
motivation and mindset, healthy lifestyle coaching, and personal training.
Amazing. Whereabouts do you own that, Susie?
I'm in Rexdale, Etobicoke, just central of Vaughan, Woodbridge, Mississauga, so just right off Highway 27 Finch.
Amazing. Do you have one location or do you have multiple locations?
One for now. The plans was to expand it 3 years ago, prior to pandemic, but maybe in another 2 years. That's my goal, is to have another few locations out in the city of Toronto.
Amazing. So a question for you. Are you wanting to franchise this or are you doing this from a corporate perspective?
Corporate perspective.
Okay. So one thing that you are going to have to think about is you are going to have to onboard people
Yeah.
who are just as passionate and just as hungry as you. And often that isn't always easy. So have you posed how you're going to find that those people who are going to represent you?
Yes, one of the challenges I've found again over the last years is finding good people and finding good instructors that has the same mindset as myself. I'm taking the business from not as an aesthetic approach. I'm taking it as a lifestyle business where you're not just looking at, well, look at how skinny I am or look at how fit. So the business surrounds me, but the challenge is to find those instructors or those trainers that have the same mindset as yourself and actually cares about fitness and not just the aesthetic, or care about wellness but not the aesthetics. And that's been my biggest challenge over the last. I've been looking for instructors for the right instructor, I would say, for since January, and I haven't found the right fit. So
And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Carry on.
that's okay. Yeah, I haven't found the right fit. So what I tend to do is I tend to have the same, since I've opened 20 years in business, but open location 13. However, the instructors that are with me, the ones, they've been with me since day one, or they've been with me over those years. So having to find new blood, and one of the questions I pose is, how has the industry changed? I find since the pandemic, the mindset of how people think and instructors, because most instructors have a full-time job, or they have, this is their side hustle. So the mindset of having to do it outside of what their primary goals are has been the biggest challenge.
And I agree with you. And, during COVID and the pandemic, instructors were forced to go and find other work because we didn't
Right.
have that for them. One thing I would encourage you to do is you made mention that you have instructors that have been with you for 13 years.
Yes.
They've already demonstrated a level of commitment.
Exactly.
Therefore, I would approach those people on representing you
Yes.
because they've already proven themselves to you. And then you could create something that's scalable for them, where there's incentives for them to reach different benchmarks. And if you wanted to have a conversation with me offline,
Yes.
I could help you in
Okay.
just structuring what that could look like to allow you to use, I don't want to say use, I'm sorry, that came out negatively.
Understand.
Utilize
Utilize
those people who've already demonstrated, a love and passion and align with your core values because they've
Right.
been with you for so long.
And that's what I've been trying to do. Again, yes, I will speak with you offline on that, because
Okay.
that's been some of the biggest challenges, because it's the mindsets are different. But the good thing is, again, as some instructors, what I've done actually, some of them have decided to move forward because they are good. So they've decided, okay, I'm going to have my own class, so like a Zumba, for instance. And I would give her the opportunity to rent the space from me. So she actually rents the space using her own client, but there's a revenue still coming in. And of course, we have a clause where we cannot combine, or there's no conflict of interest there. So that I found has been a good help, because so I still have that relationship, that bond, but give them the opportunity to explore other options.
Exactly. And some of I don't know if you have any internal like instructor programming within your organization.
Yes,
Do you?
yes,
So some of your best customers are going to be your members.
yes.
So
I've
just
actually
put it,
recruited two of them. Yeah,
yes.
and,
So positioning, yeah, positioning the opportunity within your member base
yes, yes.
is usually your best source of getting instructors.
Right, and that's where I honestly didn't realize that until this pandemic started.
Hmm.
Because again, I'm actually coaching and training. I have two. One is already a yoga instructor who teaches for me. The other two already taken on the course, and the other one is now going to get to a course. And I'm actually hiring them because they are my core values. They're demonstrating, as you said, the core values. And I've decided to, instead of going externally, because they understand what we need, what is needed, and I'm trying to hire them on to be the instructors. In one hand, I'm losing a client, but on another hand, I'm actually gaining people that's going to bring new people in and actually keep the core values. So yes, I'm learning that.
Yeah. And I would encourage you to keep doing that because I would like to say 80% of my franchisees became instructors
Yeah.
and they're now owners. So uh, that is definitely, they're already there. They
Yeah.
love it because they want to be there.
Yes.
So give them a reason to generate some revenue
Yeah.
and give them a chance to love what they do and do what they love.
Exactly. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Susie. That's great. See, isn't this great? We can have conversations with our presenters. Do you have the opportunity to do so? So all your questions are welcome. You can come off mute. Um, Chap asks, what is your biggest why and how and when did you discover that?
My biggest why was truly it was about sharing the idea with franchising. I mean, I've got lots of different whys. I mean, when I when I started this business, I was actually and still am single mom with three children. But my why was to prove to my children and that I can set goals and I can fulfill them. So that would be my personal why, but my why for the business is because I love fitness. I love channeling my energy through fitness, whether it's yoga, whether it's going to the gym and lifting weights. It just taking that time to make healthy choices and channel your energy in a positive way. I start my day off every day by going to a class or going to the gym, putting on my music, tuning things out, grounding myself, and then moving forward. So I think just really my why would be creating a safe place for people to go and build a community, channel their energy in a positive way, and just make people happy.
There you go. Make people happy they're coming back, right?
Right.
Excellent. Anybody, any other questions? Come on, now it's your chance. Right, this is your time to ask questions, to have a conversation with Jen. So I do have a question. Like, how do you take that fear, the fear of failures, and the stress, and take that and pivot that into something positive, to success, into like moving forward? Like, how do you take the bylaw officer and and make it into something positive, into growing your business?
I think just as I said, being honest and true to yourself. We all have this place that it's within our hearts that the to we want to grow and we want to do something, but that fear is derived from the opposing what you love. So I think just always coming back to your why and understanding why you started it and not being afraid of the word no, because we're going to be told no over and over and over again, but the opposite of no is yes. So just having an understanding how to make it a yes, I think is just what has compelled me to make me just continue to move on and really just not be afraid. I mean, yes, of course you're afraid with many different things, but not being afraid of a failure, because when you do fail, you get to learn. I don't know if that makes sense, but to me, it's really simple. Okay, that didn't work. So how can I make it work? You know, just looking at the opposing of whatever it is that's transpiring.
Exactly. You could have said, oh, the bylaw officer told me to shut it down, so I'm just going to shut it down and move on with my life.
Right. But instead, I was like, okay, well, I need to find another place to go. So I
Yeah.
did, and it created a chance for me to have quadruple the people, which was
Exactly.
great.
It created an opportunity, right?
That's right. That's right.
Makes perfect sense, says Lori. All right, anybody else? Any other question? Like, please, we encourage you to ask as many questions as you want. Now is your chance.
I think that when I focused and talked about the SWOT analogy, I think that's really important for people when they're going into a business venture, is to really focus on what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities, and what are the threats. And just doing this little exercise will give you a really true indicator on why something is going to work, what you may need to improve on, and just really pose for the possibilities of some challenging situations in the future.
It's such a simple yet useful tool, right? And people tend to forget about the SWOT analysis. It's so simple, right?
It is, and it's part of our due diligence, just because we really want to get to know the person who is interested in this business venture, because it gives us an idea on their character and what, where we could better support them as a franchisor.
That's great. Yeah. So for example, just like a question: if you are a business owner and you know how people always make resolutions in the New Year's. I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna get fit. I'm going to. So January gyms are jam packed and studios are packed. Then February hits and it's just empty. As a business owner, how do you face that? How do you keep going? And
that's when we incentivize with the 21-day challenge, because those people who have dropped off, we have an offering with, obviously pricing that goes along with it, and do a 21-day challenge. And it's really funny because this is old school. So we literally have charts in all of our locations. People write down their names and they X off every time they come to a class. So that little tool has been so successful for us because people want to see their names up there. They want to validate their success. So create ways for people to be accountable, yet excited about their achievements. And the 21-day challenges at optimal times of the year are really good for engagement. Getting out in the community, creating awareness, doing things that might not just be within your facility. Getting out in the community is how you're going to drive people through those doors. And there's 3 facets of my business model. So what happens in the studio, what happens at the front desk, and how you get people through those doors. So each and every one of those has its own unique way of handling and dealing with the member. And you need to ensure you've got all 3 aligned with one another, so the business makes sense and it keeps moving forward.
Right, you have to have the different strategies ready for different times of the year, different customers, personas. Correct. That's excellent. Susie asks, how can you transition clients from online to in-person coming back from the pandemic? Because people are not as motivated to come in person in her experience.
Okay, what type of business do you have, Susie?
It's Susie again.
Pardon?
So Susie again.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was thinking it was another Susie. I apologize. Okay, so I apologize. So for the member that is online, going back to in studio, I mean, for ourselves, we used the experience of community and the infrared. That's something that we can't provide online. So we really focused on the key elements that made us unique. Also, we've taken the opportunity of the online away. I mean, you need to kind of do an evaluation to see how much revenue this is generating, or you can create maybe a special promotion for them to come back in during X time to X time. So that way you create a driver for them to come back through your doors. But there's lots of different ways. But if you are ending that service, just creating that awareness that, okay, and you can come back in by, let's call it December 31st at a reduced rate of whatever that may be.
Makes sense. Thank you.
That's great. Well, how about for those that have their own in-person studio and want to maybe expand online? What advice do you have for them?
Well, was that a question from you or from?
That's for me.
Oh, okay. So expanding online, I mean, yes, it's a huge opportunity, and we saw this during COVID. We were able to touch many people that we couldn't because we didn't have studios in different areas. So therefore, it created a lot of awareness. There is definitely an opportunity for online. I have to be really honest though, with licensing requirements and what have you with music, that is what hindered us from wanting to develop and grow that platform, because there's a lot of costs and red tape that's associated with that. So I think you just need to have a really clear understanding on what you're doing. What are all the expenses that are paired with the online venture, and ensure that it's going to be profitable? Because with us, our goal is to have people in the studios. That's our business model. We had to do a makeshift and create an online platform for people to be able to utilize our classes and what have you. Although I will contradict myself in saying this, with our educational piece, we have grown that element of the Zoom platform and the online platform, because we are able to utilize and train many more people, cast a much wider net to a larger audience, and do it in a much more financially feasible way.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Any other question? If anybody has any more questions for Jen? Again, this is your chance. You still have like 12 minutes. Your chance to learn something about your business. How do you grow more? Or how do you start your business? Okay, Lori Brown says, what strategies would you suggest for maintaining momentum at the beginning of one's journey to keep you on track towards your goals, aside from the why?
Maintaining momentum, I think you really need to understand why people are coming into the studios. Asking those simple questions. We pose a lot of surveys, just getting feedback on what is working. Always trying to keep things from a positive. A lot of the times we get busy and we don't focus on doing analysis on classes. So for example, our business, we have sales and strategy analysis reports done every month on studios, as well as what happens in the studio. So we have it based on sales as well as in the studios. So I'll just speak to in studio. So there's 3 factors that are going to determine success within studio schedule. That's the time, the class, or the instructor. So having a really clear understanding on those 3 components, the demographic that you're serving, and curtailing that schedule to accommodate the demographic. For example, in our North Vancouver location, they love deep stretch classes. They're always full. Whereas our Brentwood classes, which is in Burnaby, which is a younger demographic, they are much more into the fitness-based classes. Therefore, we've had to curtail our schedule to accommodate the demographic. So really understand the people that you're serving and what's working, and continue to capitalize on that and grow from that. I mean, we've sometimes had the same class back to back because it's that popular and they're full. So it's like putting a circle into a square. Just really understand, put the circle into the circle because it's working.
Excellent. Thank you, Jen. You spoke at the beginning about having a 7-year shelf life in the fitness industry. What would you recommend business owners, when they see that they're reaching that shelf, the end of that shelf life? Like, should they pivot to something else, or adapt, or readapt? Like, what would you recommend?
No, and this is, maybe I'm giving away one of my my trade secrets, but oxygen and yoga has been around for thousands of years. Fitness gives me the ability to introduce new trends when they come in and drop the old ones when they're not there. So this gave me longevity by having these two terms below our trademark name.
Wow, that's excellent. It's a great strategy. Thank you for sharing your secrets with us. That's great.
Everybody's gonna have yoga and fitness underneath their names now.
There you go. Yoga, fitness, Pilates, and fitness. Our friend Susie again. What suggestions do you have for online advertising? In her experience, online platform is very fast.
For social media or for your actual online training programs?
Social media.
Social media. Okay. I mean, obviously the Instagram, Facebook. I would tap onto all of the platforms right now. TikTok is obviously it's trending, but it creates awareness. It doesn't create a return usually, but with that return, you need to hit all different facets of the social media platforms to engage. I mean, generally speaking, Facebook, you're dealing with an older clientele, and Instagram, you're dealing with it's quite a variance now. A lot of the people from Facebook have switched over as there's been that integration. And I mean, TikTok is humorous and playful. So I think just being really creative on using the different platforms and really targeting. I mean, there's Twitter, and you're going to hit a more business orientated person with Twitter. So understanding the platforms you're using and that you're putting the right assets on those platforms to create that engagement.
I just want to add a follow-up to that. I've been using, a lot of the social media platforms, but in my experience, what I've found is they're great at responding, and they're great at interaction, and the impressions are there. But the challenges I find is, for my clientele are women, career women, business owners themselves, small business owners, managers, so on and so forth, and moms, and stay-at-home moms. So a lot of those targets that I need, or it's been working well for me, they don't have the time to do the social media. So the people that are interacting are not necessarily the ones that are coming through the doors. So we get the interactions. When I look at the stats were there, but okay, now how many are those actual paying clients walking through the doors?
Well, have you done an evaluation on that?
I have, and say for instance, if I was to post something of myself, I get a lot more interaction from that. So they like to see, because the face, and see what's happening, but it's the immediate response of the now, as opposed to, should I get up and do it? So again, I'm not sure if that's coming from my advertising, or is that coming from the content?
Well, I think one of the key successes that we've had is building content around your members and testimonials and getting them to share their stories. So using your members and sharing their stories to create the possibility for another person to come and have that experience is very, very helpful. I think you as the owner, obviously that shows just commitment, integrity, that they're going to see your face when they walk through those doors. So there's many different points, but I would get more utilize more assets around your customers and getting them to do testimonials and create fun, playful ways for them to share their energy.
Got you. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Chap says, thanks again, Santiago and Jen, for this informative session. Have a terrific weekend, everyone. Hey, Chap, thank you so much for joining us. But you know what? The day's not over. We're just starting. This is day one. We have a lot more sessions today. At 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the Fitness Industry Council of Canada's national meeting call. You want to join that? We're going to talk about trends and where the fitness industry is right now. Don't miss it. Day 2 continues on November 18th. So we'll see you also in a couple of weeks. And mark your calendars, August 16th to the 20th, 2023. Join us in Toronto for our 30th anniversary celebrations. Can you believe it's Country Pro's 30 years next
Happy
year?
anniversary. My goodness, you guys look so young.
Right? Oh my God, that's so funny. Also, don't forget to help Country Pro plan for future events by completing a short survey about your experience in this session. Put some information in the chat box for you, put the link. Any more questions? We have like 4 minutes left. Anything else? Any last advice, Jen, for our amazing delegates?
You know what? Once again, I just want to say thank you. And just if people are interested in having more conversations offline, this is my contact information. You can send us an email. We can arrange to have a call. I love helping people, and honestly, you dream big and just don't feel dull about something that might not look foreseeable, right? And I think just having, like the glass is half full. I like to say that. And at the end of each and every class, I have my mission statement, which is I love my life, and I get everybody to make a heart in the shape of their hand. So if you guys could just do me the favor and just make a heart and say, I love my life, that would make me the happiest person. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Susie. I'm going to share your email here. I don't think it's very visible. CEO.fitness.com. There you go. Yeah, and I agree with you. We should say, I love my life. It can be difficult. It can be challenging, but it's life. You got to love it. You got to keep moving forward.
You do. And when you say it out loud, it feels really good.
100% positive reinforcement, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jen, and thank you everybody for joining us. Please continue to join the rest of the sessions throughout the day. We have a lot of great speakers, great presenters. You're going to learn so much, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Bye, everyone.